Hey, welcome to the basement. And you know what that means? That means it's another Monday, and you are beginning your week in the basement with Sean and the Heckler here down in KDVS's basement. We're in Studio A as always. But not as always, I am running solo today. My partner in crime, my PIC, the Darth Man, the one I call my partner in crime, Sean Steimel. He is at home right now. According to him, he is still in elation after witnessing Kyrie Irving earn the MVP in the NBA All-Star game, in which he also predicted that was going to happen. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Little did Sean know I was actually planning on talking about the NBA All-Star game. Maybe not the game itself, really, because, it is what it is. Maybe how to fix the game. But we're going to get back to that. That's our second segment. Our first segment, though, is going to be a little Olympic talk. I mean, we haven't done much Olympic talk. The first week just ended yesterday. Well, before I go on, you guys will see this episode that Sean, who is usually over my shoulder, he is usually the... I wouldn't say the moral compass, but he keeps the show kind of flowing forward. I sometimes get stuck in some ruts and rants, and, I start, mouthing off as the heckler is wont to do at times, and then Sean will kind of pull me back in, and we'll be back on topic. So we'll see how good I am about staying on topic today, since I'm running solo with no one to keep me in check today. But I did write some stuff down, like Sean would be proud. I have notes here today, notes. Like, a couple of pages of notes, college basketball, last segment, little NBA, Olympics. Sean would be proud of me. So I did write some notes to help myself keep on track. Anyway, like I was saying, we're going to start with some Olympics today. At last that I saw, the medal counts were Russia and the United States tied at 18. They are leading the way in the countries. They have 18 medals total. Let's see here. I'm going to go on the ESPN page and click on the Olympics, see what the medal count is. Might as well start off like that, because that's the way to do it here. Results, medals. There you go, medals. All right, so the overall count goes as follows. United States and Russia, like I said, are on top of the poll at 18 medals. They each have 5 gold medals. Russia has 7 silvers, 6 bronze, and the United States has 4 silver and 9 bronze. The Netherlands has 17 medals, 5 gold, 5 silver, 7 bronze. Norway is 4th with 15 medals. They're tied with Canada. Norway has 5 gold, 3 silver, 7 bronze. Canada has 4 gold, 7 silver, 4 bronze. And rounding out the top 5 is Germany with 13 medals. They have 8 gold medals to lead the way of all the countries. Excuse me there, 3 silver and 2 bronze. So basically, out of all the top countries gaining medals, the Germans are getting the most medals per percentage of total medals won. Right along with them is Sweden. They have, Switzerland. They have 5 gold medals out of 8 medals. And the 2 countries that are literally just doing it up with all that they've been in here is Belarus. They have 6 medals, 5 gold and a bronze, and Poland has 4 medals, all of them gold. So, it just depends on what you want to, what you think is they're having a good Olympics. If you are a bigger country, you want to be like Russia and the United States, where you have medals across the board and total medal wins. If you are a small country like Belarus and Portland, I'm sure my brain is right now, Poland, you want to get as many golds as you can, because then your country takes care of you when you get back. Endorsements and coaching, and basically you're set for life in those countries if you get a gold medal. Anyway, I digress. I caught myself there. I wanted to start with the medal count because I wanted to bring up a good point. There's a lot of discussion about dominance in Olympics, summer and winter games, and it's evident that the more people that you send, that the more opportunities that you have to win a medal, to have a chance to win a medal. And in that case, if you're in medal contention, anything can happen on any given day, and you could easily win gold as opposed to silver or bronze. Now, having said that, United States pretty much leads the way with 9 bronze medals of their total medals. That is the most bronze medals in the top 5 countries of total medals overall. So my question kind of comes to you out there in podcast land. Since I can't ask Sean, I'll ask you guys out there. Maybe you can leave a comment on the SoundCloud or on the Facebook page if you have a response or even any kind of other thoughts on this. Now, do you think that it says a lot about the United States that they can send so many athletes that are good enough to be in medal contention, but usually they get third or second? The ones that are going to get the gold. They had been talked about for years leading up to the Olympics. That really rarely do you see a surprise gold medalist from the United States. Usually they're on the radar. I mean, unless they have kind of like the Olympics of their life, kind of like there was a skier, I think Weisenbach was the guy's name. He won silver, beat up Bodie Miller. But apparently he has the 2 best runs he's ever had in Super G are in the Olympics this year and the Olympics 4 years ago, where he got bronze 4 years ago and silver this year. So, there are things like that. But for the most part, guys like Bodie Miller who have 6, medals on the out on the hills for Olympic skiing for the U.S. men. That's a record for the United States. Usually it's like that, or it's like Michelle Kwan. You can see him coming from a mile away. They're usually pretty heralded. But which brings me back, brings me back to my main point. Does it say more about the fact the United States is giving a lot of opportunities to become Olympians? Or does it say that we have so many resources, let's say, that we can train bronze medalists and we can train 4th place finishers and we can train, biathletes and the Nordic skiing combined race thing, cross country, where, a high finish for the United States would be like 8th or 9th, you know what I mean? And that would be like a personal best or like an Olympic best for the United States if they finish in the top 10 or top 5. Whereas like Norway and Sweden and France and the Czech Republic and, countries like Italy, they're looking for gold medals when it comes to cross-country skiing, the ski jump, the luge, the bobsled, the skeleton, things like that. But, the United States, mainly we're favorites in ice skating, hockey. We can't really say that because the Russian team is pretty good even though we beat them in a shootout. Canada's historically, more talented than us on the ice or on roster-wise anyway, Olympic to Olympic since they allowed the pros in. So, the United States, it's fortunate for those Olympians that they live in the United States, a country where pretty much you can, be nobody from Vermont or from Minnesota or whatever, but if you have the gumption during the U.S. trials and you make the team, anything can happen. It's the whole Wheaties box dream. The unknown gets the gold medal, they get on the Wheaties box, and, they get their 15 minutes of fame, for how long after the Olympics, before the next Olympics, hopefully they can, recapture that magic. Where in, say, like I said, Sweden or Switzerland or even Norway, like, that's expected of you. Like, it's almost like the Summer Games, where the United States, they send the American, they send their basketball team or their swimming team or the track and field, and pretty much it's expected that you're going to finish first. If you don't finish first, you lost. It's a disappointing Olympics if you didn't win the gold, because, we have a history of, those kind of successes. But when it comes to the Winter Games, really, like, there isn't really a historical amount of success for the United States in individual events that, that go back all the way to the beginning. It's usually, we had success in the 20s and 30s, and then there was a huge gap in between, and then we had a blip maybe in the 60s, and then, a little bit in the 80s, like not really in the 90s, and then recently in the last 4 to 12 years, or 8 to 12 years, we've made a resurgence back on the scene with our athletes. And that's probably more so that the younger generation growing up was tired of losing to the Russians, to the Netherlands, to the Norwegians, Canadians, etc., etc., etc. Now, having said that, I have a couple of events that I have to talk about that that I'm intrigued by these events, because I don't know. These events are intriguing because they kind of grasp the attention of the nation and of the world for 2 weeks or so, or 10 days, however long. But for the other 3 years, it's more of a regional, like a hemispherical kind of interest. Like, let's start with, let's just start from the beginning. Let's just start from curling. And if you're watching the Winter Olympics, I know you know what I'm talking about. Curling has the phenomenon of curling, I think, started, the interest started 4 years ago, but in Vancouver. But I want to say that 4 years before that in Torino, kind of curling got its breakthrough with the mainstream public because of all the channels that now carry the Olympics, like CNBC and MSNBC and USA and and the regular NBC channel, and then there's like NBC Sports Network. There's like so many channels that carry it now that you can afford to show an event like curling, which normally when you only had, one or two channels to show the Olympics, you basically stayed with the, very popular Olympic sports, downhill skiing, the ice skating, the bobsled, and hockey, and I feel like that's it. Maybe they showed you, the final run of the ski jump or the final run of the luge or something like that. But, they never really gave you, round by round, qualifications to the semifinals. You basically only saw the finals, the gold medal finals and whatnot. And now, time has changed and there's a lot more interest because there's more channels. There's a little more niche audience going on in these Olympics. But anyway, back to curling. It got its introduction to the masses, I want to say, in Torino, and then 4 years later in Vancouver, I want to say the curling bug bit everyone, especially in the United States. 4 years ago when the Vancouver Olympics was going on and curling was all over the TV, I basically watched a lot of curling, and I came to the decision that, me and my ex-girlfriend, we came to the decision that we were going to go try curling in Vacaville. And now I live in Davis, and there's an ice rink in Vacaville. And, we were like, oh, let's get a good idea. It's going to be probably like 20 of us or 30 of us, learning curling. Who wants to learn curling? But if I may, yeah, no way. We showed up to that ice rink in Vacaville, and there was, I want to say, 100 to 120 people. Minimum. There was at least 80, but I'm sure there was about 120 people. It was insane amount of people there. It was a huge ice rink. They broke us up into groups of like 15 or like 20, and it was like 6 or 7 groups of like 15 or 20. And and they basically taught us to like brush the brooms, to throw the rock, and I didn't stay for the whole time. So I didn't really get to know what happens after we learned to throw the rock and brush the ice. I'm guessing that they broke us up into teams and we had like curling matches. I don't know. It was a free seminar. I doubt they even did that, but it was kind of neat to learn. And they let it be known that there's a curling club out there that that has matches and the whole nine. And that was very interesting. And then, we went home and we kind of forgot about it. 4 years later, here's the curling again in the Olympics. And I don't know. I think it's very popular and the interest has grown in the last 4 years tenfold because it's easy. It's an easy sport to get behind. It's an easy sport to sit and watch and debate with your buddies about, how good each team is doing and if they think they did a right job or a good job or the right move or made the right call or not. And now here's the thing. I just said that, right? Now, everyone out there is like, oh my God, Heckler, DK, why aren't you just telling us how to watch this, this sport? Because, I know you guys watch it and you listen to the announcers. And it's like the rock, the stone, curling, curls, the fourth, the third, blah, 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 ends. Like, who knows what they're talking about, right? It's a real quick overview of how curling works. There are 2 teams. Each team is consisted of, I want to say, 4 to 5 members. There's 2 members that are in charge of sweeping, and that's when you have the brooms and you sweep the ice. And what they're doing when they sweep the ice is they're basically clearing the way for that little rock, hammer, stone thing that they're throwing, because on the ice there's little pebbles of water because they water down the ice. There's little pebbles that kind of like veer it and make it turn in certain ways. So you sweep it to make it clean, make a deep groove, so you get a little kind of a track almost to the area you want to go. So you can control the object, make it curl to the left or the right depending on how well you sweep and how good the rotation is on the little thing coming down. Now, the object of the curling is to get your your object stone as close to the middle bullseye area as you can. There's no extra points if you hit the bullseye, but you need to get it as close to the bullseye as you can because the team with the closest stone towards the bullseye gets the point. So you're working to get 1 point at least. Now, if you have the 2 closest stones to the middle, you get 2 points. And then so on and so forth. As long as your opponents don't have something that's second closer, third closer. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like horseshoes. You know, if you have all your horseshoes closest to the pole, and you get the points. If you have all your stones closest to the middle without impeding, or without any interference from your opponent's stone or rock, then you get all of those points. Case in point, earlier in the week, the women's curling event, the Canadian team beat United States by a good amount, 11-2. And in one of their turns, they scored 7 points. Now you get 4 rocks to throw, and each rock weighs 1 stone, which is about 42 pounds or so. And so the Canadians scored 7 out of 8 shots, basically. So that's it's an Olympic record. It's an amazing feat. But anyway, I digress. Back to explaining the thing. So each team gets 8 of those rocks. Their nicknames the stone because they weigh 1 stone. So I'm going to refer to as stone from now on. They each get 8 stones. They alternate turns in throwing the stone down the ice towards the bullseye target. The team that goes second in each of the rounds is referred to as having the hammer because they get the last shot with the opportunity of getting 2 points out of it than 1 based on all the strategy involved. Now, each round is called an end. There are 10 ends. So you either complete 10 ends, and the leader out of the 2, at the end of 10, they win. Now, if either team gets 10 points or more, then the game automatically ends, and that team wins no matter what end they're in. So let's say in the third end, a team has a 10-2 lead. The game's over right there. Team A beats Team B 10-2. So anyway, that's how curling usually works. The nuances and the rules, the nuances and the strategies of the game you have to look up on the internet. But from what I can tell, there's things where you can guard from having them score points, low-scoring games, whatnot. It's a very strategic game. It's, as I heard someone call it, it's kind of like chess on ice. You throw in a little horseshoe type of rules, and like I said, it's easy to get behind, and it's easy to like when you're watching it also on TV, especially in the United States. I don't want to generalize the United States, because I feel like last week on Aggie Talk, I generalized the South, talking about, homophobia and stuff, so I apologize. But I feel like us sports fans in the United States, even the casual ones, we really can get behind any sport where you can just sit there and watch it on TV with a bunch of buddies, or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, your mom and dad, have a beer, just chill and relax, and not have it be so intense that you don't know what's going on. Case in point, ski jumping. I have no idea what's going on. I used to think it's the guy that, flew the furthest, you won. But no, apparently there's you have to fly the furthest, there's style points, do you choose the big hill, the small hill? At that point, change the channel. I want to watch curling. It's pretty simple, easy going. And I can see why it's so popular after 3 Olympics of people just kind of getting behind it. And it probably also helps that in Trino, the Italians are really good. In Canada, the Canadians are really good. In Russia, the Russians were playing really good, well. Which brings me to my question. I want to know, once again, I can't ask Sean this, and so I'm just going to throw it out there in podcast land to our listeners of Sean and the Heckler here in the basement. I want to know, how long before the United States can win a curling gold? I know the United States won a bronze medal, I want to say either last Olympics or two Olympics ago, and it was huge, and it was a big deal, and, it could have, spurned the momentum for the United States and the curling team, but really it hasn't. The last 2 Olympics really, really disappointing. This year they're 2-4. I don't know if they're 3-4 yet, but they're on the outside looking in for the medal round. They need a lot of help, and I don't think the 4 teams they were chasing are going to give any of it back. So it's another Olympics with no medals for the United States. Now, does it really come down to having to almost federalize the sport like other countries? Because if you didn't know, in the United States, basically what happens in curling is, let's say I want to have a curling team. I'm gonna go find 3 or 4 of my good friends that are also interested in curling, and we're gonna participate in some sort of curling season that happens internationally or in the states, wherever that happens. And then we basically, get the rankings, and then we get invited to the winter trials, the trials for the United States for the Olympic team, and then you basically go against like 4 or 5 other teams or whatever it is in a curling match for I think it was like a week, and the best 2 teams get to the finals, and I think I want to say they go head to head, and the winning team gets to be the United States curling team. So it's not like an all-star team of like you pick the best skip and the best second skip and then the 2 best sweeper guys and then the really best coach. No, what happens is the group of 4 that has been together all year. They could be just random guys that work in like I don't know, like it could be a plumbing shop guys of 4 that happen to be really good at curling for some reason, and they go to the Olympic trials and they win and qualify. That's the American team. So it like in the NBA. They were basically equating this like this. It's funny because, in the Olympics, it's the United States hockey team. It's not the, Colorado Avalanche. Or in the Summer Olympics, it's the American men's basketball team. It's not the Miami Heat. But in curling, it's basically the best team. Like the best team that won represents our country. So, I'm thinking it might be time to turn the sport of curling into almost like Team USA basketball, Team USA hockey, track and field, figure skating, things like that, where you get to pick a team of the best 4 curlers in our country that can and you pick them 4 years ahead of time, and then you get 4 years to run that circuit of whatever it is those teams normally do, and then they can be cohesive like that. But I don't know. America's always so, like, we're always so, like, land of the free, home of the brave, individual choice, freedom of speech, that I don't know if we're ever going to do something like that, because I feel like the Winter Olympics and curling and things like that might be the last bastion of the everyman can make it. Because, come on. You watch curling, you watch John Schuster, no offense, John Schuster, I love you to death, guy, but you look at him and you think, man, I'm out of shape, I'm middle-aged, I could totally do that and be an Olympian. And I know it's probably harder than that. There's a lot of math that's involved and strategy, and you have to know the game and depth of hand when you release the stone, the rock down the ice, and you have to turn it a certain way. But I don't know. I feel like if a young athletic guy that was really into curling, at the age of 16 or whatever, and then by 20 something jumps into the sport, I'm sure they can teach him the nuances of the game. It's really the excitement of wanting to be a part of the team. Anyway, that does it for curling, really. I feel like that's like the new, fad. I almost feel like that's kind of like the hipster Olympic sport, Everyone really likes it, I don't know. I really don't even know what hipster is, really. Thank God, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off track. See, that's what happens when Sean's not here. Shout out to my PIC out there. He is once again, in elation over Kyrie Irving winning the MVP of the NBA All-Star Game. But right now we're talking about curling. So that does it for curling, really. I want to try curling. In fact, you guys out there that want to try out something new, go to your local ice center and ask to see if they have a free or even a paid curling seminar. It's fun to learn. It's something to do, and I'm pretty sure you can grab 8 of your buddies and go to the ice center one weekend or something and make it a weekend of it. And besides, not that we here at In the Basement with Sean the Heckler advocate any of this, but any sport where you can drink a beer and have a good time, can't be that hard, right? Anyway, I better move on to the next Olympic sport. I'm going to talk about skiing a little bit here and the legacy of Bode Miller. I kind of grew up watching Bode Miller grow up in the Olympics. He's 36 now. He earned his 6th Olympic medal in the skiing competition for the Olympics. That's an American record. He's basically the icon of American skiing from the 90s. And he's always been the bad boy, the bad boy, party boy, the guy with the edge. And, everyone loved him. The men that skied kind of wanted to be Bodie Miller. He was kind of one of those, transcendent figures in sports that kind of crossed over from his niche to kind of mainstream. He's always been tagged as the next gold medal winner, the next gold medal winner, the next gold medal winner, the favorite for the downhill, the favorite for the Super G, favorite for the super combined, etc., etc., etc. But he's always come up short for one reason or another. And I want to say that I was watching his performance in the Super G this Olympics, and he was surviving one skier after another, surviving by 200ths of a second, 500ths of a second, and then he get overtaken by 1800ths of a second, or 18 tenths of a second? I don't know, something like that. It was really close. He ends up being tied with the Canadian skier for bronze. Excuse me. Well, had a little frog in my throat there. But he ends up being tied for bronze in the Super G, and one has to think that that's pretty much the end of his career, because the next Olympic rolls around, he'll be 40 years old. There's going to be a lot of skiers out there that's going to beat him for their top 10, let alone top 3. So, I mean, it was a good career for Bodie Miller, and as U.S. Wow, excuse me. That just caught me off guard. I didn't even feel that coming. But for as U.S. skiers go, he's pretty much a legend, because he basically medaled in almost every Olympics I want to say that he's participated in. I know it wasn't gold, but I mean he was on the podium. And this time around, when he actually got the bronze for the Super G, he started off almost falling, and he basically powered his way through the whole course and saved himself, and gave himself a really good chance of winning gold medal for the first gold medal of his career. But I mean, I for one, I want to applaud Bodie Miller's career. He's a very misunderstood athlete, I think. He says a lot of things. He's very brash. You see him as very partier. This last year, his brother died. He was a snowboarder, also looking to make his Olympic debut with the U.S. team. So Bodie Miller has been going through a lot the last 12 to 18 months, and I want to end by. I forget who interviewed Bodie Miller at the end of the Super G race when he got bronze. But to that reporter, I say bad for him. Yeah, you want to talk to Bodie Miller. Yeah, you know that Bodie Miller's career is probably going to come to an end after these Olympics. But it's not your job to try to break down Bodie Miller emotionally in the Olympics. It's already hard for him as it is that he messed up a little bit coming down the hill to almost, in his mind, ruin a chance to winning silver or gold. It's also pretty evident that he is already upset at the fact that he is here at the Olympics without his baby brother, who is deceased and gone forever. Now, knowing all of that, he finds solace on the slope, in the event, amongst his peers. So when finally, his career is coming to an end, and he somehow miraculously beats out a lot of contenders that could have pushed him to 6th and 7th, and he wins the coveted medal. I know it's not gold, it's bronze. But it's your job as the reporter, as this Olympic legend is retiring, per se, allegedly, to embrace his legacy. And to make sure that he responds in a way that's going to be great for his legacy. And in the end, you know what? The reporter asked him about his brother, how hard it's been, and basically pushed all the right buttons, made Bodie Miller start to cry. Bodie Miller broke down in the middle of the interview, couldn't continue anymore, kind of crouched down, went off to the side, and basically cried. Now, great. What did you really accomplish there? Besides showing that Bodie Miller is human. We knew that. So what you did was what Jim Gray did, when he attacked Pete Rose at, I feel like it was the World Series in 2002, or the All-Star Game, or whatever it was, when he attacked Pete Rose, and then he got shunned by Chad Curtis at that World Series when the Yankees won by saying, our team doesn't appreciate what you did to Mr. Rose, so I'm not going to give you the interview, and left. And Jim Gray was just staring at the camera like, kind of like, I just got poo food. Who knows? Anyway, to that reporter, like I said, I know that you think it's your job to ask that question, but it really isn't. Bodie Miller, for all he's given to U.S. skating, you should have basically said, Bodie, how does it feel to have your career come to an end and for you to get a medal on the last downhill Super G that you're probably ever going to compete in the Olympics? Do you think that this basically solidifies your legacy as the best American skier in the history of our sports? And then you do that, and then you let him walk away, head held high and very dignified. Instead, you made him cry, and you made him crawl away on national TV. Way to go. Whatever. People out there might disagree with me, but at the same time, that's your opinion. So like I said, I really don't agree with how that one ended. But, it is what it is, and that's what media does these days. Anyway, that was skiing. I like to commend to the Russian fans. I've been watching a lot of this Olympics, and you guys out there in the arenas and on the mountains and on the slopes are doing a great job of cheering on all of the athletes, especially your own, and I really applaud you and commend you guys. Way to show the world what kind of country you really are. Like I said, I commend you guys, and you guys are hosting one heck of an Olympics. It is a spectacle to be held, and those jumps and the gaps on those slopes for the snowboard and skiers, those are professional slopes, guys. This isn't your local, let's go up to Mammoth and just hit a little park. No, these things are dangerous. Anyway. It's been a good Olympics, and the ice skating playoffs are ice hockey playoffs are about to start, so that should be really exciting. The top 4 seeds are Canada, United States, Russia, and Sweden. More than likely, those will be your final 4 in the semifinals, and hopefully we'll see either a United States-Canada final or a United States-Russia rematch in the finals. But it should be an exciting playoffs. You guys should tune in. The second week of the Olympics is starting today, running through Sunday, the closing ceremonies and whatnot. We'll end with a little ice skating talk. Russia basically started off the Olympics by winning the team competition, and that was really thrilling for them. But I think it's Yevgeny Koshilenko? Oh my gosh, I'm butchering his name. I'm sorry. Palenko? Oh my gosh. You know what? You guys are going to kill me. So I'm going to go back here to sports and see which guy is ice skating here. Figure skating. Figure skating. Men's skating. Evgeny Plashenko. There we go. He basically led that team to the team gold medal, but unfortunately because of that, he kind of abused his body a little bit, and his back, he couldn't skate in the men's singles competition, which is unfortunate for him because he was looking to become the first Olympian to medal in 5 straight Olympics. He had medaled in the previous 4, so that was dramatic there. Also, in the ice dancing part of it, the U.S. Ice dancing pair of Merrill Davis and Charlie White, they win the gold medal, and they beat their rivals from Canada. Apparently, ice dancing, it's a Canadian-United States battle for the last 4 or 5 years now. And they're saying, I want to say that it's going to be for the next 4 or 5 years also after that. But the men's single and the women's single and the pairs is coming up soon, and that's pretty much the premier showcase for the Winter Games, so that should be really interesting. The Americans, I think, are favored to win a medal in the women's, but not in the men's, so we'll see what happens there. We'll see if Gracie Gold or I want to say Ashley Wagner, let's see if either one of them can win a medal, and let's see if Ashley Wagner makes another face to get more memes out there for her. But that does it for the Olympic talk. It's, been a little long-winded. Sorry at the end there. Like I said, when Sean's not here, he doesn't kind of rein me back in and make it concise. But we're going to take a break. Mick's going to tell you a bunch of things, and you're going to hear some beats. And on the other side of the break, we'll talk about who those beats belong to, and once again, who is on the intro and outro and the bumpers. So once again, you're in the basement with Sean and the Heckler. Sean is MIA today. He is at home celebrating an elation once again over Kyrie Irving's MVP award at the NBA All-Star Game. And on the other side of this break, we will have some NBA All-Star talk, a little bit of the game, and probably a little bit more on how to fix All-Star Weekend. All right, guys. See you in a bit. We'll be back right soon, okay? We'll be back soon, okay? Hey, welcome back from the break. And yes, Mick Mucus, you are right. We are in the basement, and I am the Heckler, joined usually by my partner in crime, Sean Steimel. But today he is MIA. He is actually at home, I think, as he said, rejoicing in elation by in the news that Kyrie Irving won the MVP of the NBA All-Star Game last night, as he called it. Apparently he called it. So he was right, because he, my friends, is a genius. Because we are all geniuses. Remember that we are geniuses, and we are never wrong, and we are always right. I mean, unless we're wrong. Anyway. Hey, what's going on? All right, so once again, this is our second segment, and today, our music in the very beginning of the show and our bumpers, it is brought to you by DJ Enoch of Las Vegas, Nevada. He is one of my buddies. He went to UC Davis, graduated from here, and he's a professional DJ. He has his own SoundCloud, has his own mixtapes, and he's pretty famous out there in Vegas. He is also one of the managers, or is it the general manager or the head guy? He's one of the bosses at Eye Candy over at Mandalay Bay. So he's on the up and up. You should check out his SoundCloud page, DJ Enoch. He is the Asian. The picture is the Asian dude with a cigar. He's pretty fly there. So shout out to DJ Enoch out there. Thanks for letting us use your music for the intro and the outro and for the bumpers. And of course, like last week, the man behind the words is Mick Mucus, the legendary Mick Mucus from KDVS fame, from punk rock fame, from being from Peru fame, from being just a badass fame. And if you've lived in Davis long enough, you probably know him from Woodstock's Pizza too, where I work. So a lot of things famous about Mick Mucus, aside from the fact that he does our bumpers here at In the Basement with Sean and the Heckler. But yeah, I just wanted to just shout out and thanks to those two guys. We'll have more bumpers with more other people out there in the up and coming episodes, so keep your ear out for that. Anyway, back to the show. First segment, it was pretty much all Olympic talk. This segment, I am going to talk about the NBA All-Star Weekend. Now, I, for one, didn't realize the NBA All-Star Weekend started on Friday. I thought the NBA All-Star Weekend was just Saturday and Sunday. But on Friday, they had the rookie-sophomore game, and the, shooting stars challenge, and the point guard skills competition. And I think they had the celebrity All-Star game, whatever. One of those things. Where it was I don't think anyone really watched Friday's performances or events or anything like that. Then on Saturday, it was the dunk contest, the three-point shootout, and I want to say a bunch of musicians performed as well. I really didn't get to watch that either because I was working. But from what I can gather from my social media on Facebook, on Twitter, from what I heard from my friends, from what I actually got to see a little bit of while I was working at Woodstocks, it wasn't that entertaining. Sorry to say, it was more. Yeah, it was more of that. It was not entertaining at all. And the thing is, the last time All-Star Weekend was truly entertaining for the fans was the last time All-Star Weekend was kind of old school All-Star Weekend. You know, it was basically, there was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm pretty sure there was still that. But on Friday, it was kind of the rookie-sophomore game and the rookie-sophomore game, and then the skills challenge. And then on Saturday, there was the dunk contest, three-point shootout, and then on Sunday, there was the game. It was pretty simple. It was pretty straightforward. I feel like it wasn't broke. Why fix it kind of thing. But they fixed it. They decided that it wasn't good enough that they were that popular, and they wanted to be more popular. Now, I don't really know how much more popular you could be, but you know, it is what it is. But anyway, I was thinking about it while watching the actual game itself. I have a way to fix the NBA All-Star Game. And really, it's not anything that I thought of. It's not like a new and inventive way to fix the All-Star Game. It's just kind of cutting off all the fat as per se, and then just kind of leaving the prime rib of the game intact. So here are my suggestions for how to fix the All-Star Game. I wrote it down here. Neat little. Well, I won't say it's neat, but it's basically a 1.5 page kind of like how to fix the NBA All-Star Game. And so I'm gonna start here with Friday, basically, the whole weekend, you know, the All-Star Weekend. Now, first off, I know that the All-Star Weekend, it's supposed to be kind of like MLB All-Star Game, where you go from arena to arena to arena, and you basically, you know, showcase each city. But I don't think that's a good idea, because, I mean, pretty much all the arenas are the same. There's a basketball court there. The amenities might be different. The city center around it might be different, but the arena itself in most of the cities is the same. I'll have to design on the outside. You know, it seats about 8 to 17,000 or whatever, and you host a basketball game there. The differences are: is it a dome? Is it not? You know, is it raised floors? That's more college though. And the pros is pretty uniform. What you should do is treat it like, like the Pro Bowl. You should just have it in Vegas every year. The most successful All-Star game in recent memory, in my lifetime, the recent memory, in the last 10 years or so, has been the one they hosted at Las Vegas. Because A, it's a place where everybody wants to go, and B, all the players kind of want to be there because they want to go to Vegas and have a good time. Now, I know, All-Star Weekend, bring them to my city, more revenue, but really, come on. They had it in New Orleans today, right? Now, is the All-Star Weekend ever going to be in Milwaukee in the recent future? No, it's never going to be in Milwaukee. It's never going to be in Philadelphia. You're never going to have it in Sacramento. You might have it in Oakland because Golden State's so good right now, but you're never going to have it in Sacramento. They might have it in LA, but I mean, you'd rather have it in Vegas at that point because the traffic in LA would be horrible. I don't know if you want to have it in Denver because, well, you know, there's really nothing to do in Denver besides ski. I mean, come on. Vegas is the perfect place to have the All-Star Game. That way that everyone knows the one place it's going to be. It's a place it's a centerpiece. It's some place where everyone wants to go, including the fans. And so, I mean, that's one way. Start off. You just keep it in Vegas, or you have 3 spots where you rotate, or 4 spots where you rotate around from. Las Vegas, Miami, New York, and LA. You can even add Oakland in there for the Bay Area because California is pretty big, and maybe throw in Dallas or San Antonio just to keep them appeased in Texas. But I mean, those are the only cities really where there's stuff to do around the arena, and people. It's a destination place. If you're not gonna do that, just have it in Vegas and just leave it at that. Anyway, that's how you start by moving into Vegas. All right. And then on Friday, you basically have the rookie and sophomore game on Friday, like you had it before. Now, to go one step further than that, at halftime of the rookie sophomore game, you just have a little elongated halftime, maybe a 30, 45-minute halftime. You get 4 guys from the D League, okay, from the developmental league. You get 4 guys from the D League to participate in a dunk contest, and you get 4 guys in the D League to participate in a 3-point shootout. And you know what? Everyone's, there's too many things. No. You get 4 guys. It's 2 semifinals. You get 2 dunks apiece. Like old school rules back in the day in the 80s and early 90s. And then the highest combined score advances to the finals, and you go head to head, and then you win. It's based on 5 judges, total of 50 points. It's really easy, old school. Same thing with the 3-point shootout. You start with 2 people on each court. You basically go head to head style. The top 2 people that make it gets the final. They go head to head, and the winner is whoever makes the most. It's pretty simple, the same amount of racks, and it's entertaining because you get to showcase some of the guys in the D League. You get to showcase a lot of the younger guys that haven't made it to the actual league yet. So, it's twofold. Showcase the D League, and it's something to do during All-Star Weekend on Friday when there's no, get rid of the celebrity game, all that BS. You want the sophomore and freshman rookie game. At halftime, you have the D League, and 4 guys at dunk contest, 4 guys at 3-point shootout. All right, and I mean that could work. It's basically a Friday showcase, and then on Saturday you have the 3-point shootout, slam dunk contest, and the point guard skills competition. Now you basically expand what you did at halftime for the D leaguers in the NBA slam dunk and 3-point contest. You expand it to 8 people, and you have basically the 4 highest point totals of those 8 advance to the semifinals. And then in the semifinals, you have the top score go against the lowest score, the second against the third, and they go head-to-head in a head-to-head competition, and the winner out of those 2 head-to-heads meet in the finals. It's very simple, straightforward. There's no team dunking. In each round, you get 2 dunks. For each dunk, you get 2 attempts. You don't get the dunk in 2 attempts, you get 0 points. Plain and simple. It's like the rules that they had in the 80s and the 90s. Basically, that's what's going on here. You strip it down, you simplify it. The fans aren't dumb. In fact, we are very smart. In fact, we are so smart that this is actually going to work. Because at that point, all we're doing is cheering for the made dunks, and we're making fun of the non-made dunks. And it's going to be easy. You get 5 judges. You get 3 Hall of Famers from the NBA Hall of Fame. You get that were former players. Then you get 1 guy that's a... You get 1, what's his face? Oh man, I'm losing my mind here. You get 3 Hall of Famers. You get 1 guy that's like a TV announcer from ESPN or something, like an NBA analyst. And then you get the 5th guy you get from like a street ball or something like that, like a legend of street ball or something like that, or a celebrity judge. 10-point must system, out of 50, basically old school rules. And then for the shooting stars challenge, or the point guard challenge, you basically get 4 of the best point guards in the league, and you basically have a preliminary round. The top 2 make it to the finals, and you go head to head. You don't have to make it elaborate. You don't have to make it over the top. We as fans are smart enough to appreciate all the little things that happen. And in the long run, it'll improve your product. And then on Sunday, you have the game as usual. And, I don't know how to change the game. The game's as, pretty entertaining as it is right now. I mean, aside from the fact that there's no defense and, there's no really calls. And basically, they're just playing playground ball. But, I mean, it's entertaining, to watch, fast break, back and forth, 160 to, 170. Those are fun scores. And they remind the fans in the NBA that, yeah, everyone that plays in the NBA, they're athletes above and beyond any other basketball league in the world. Now, for those of you that are saying, you can't have all-stars have a 3-point shootout, slam dunk contest, and point guard on Saturday and expect them to have them play on Sunday, it's too close back-to-back. Then you know what? Have the 3-point shootout, slam dunk contest, skills challenge on Friday. That way, people watch Friday. And then on Saturday, showcase your young talent by having the sophomores, rookie, and then in the halftime, do the D-leaguers with the slam dunk and three-point shootout. I mean, it really is that simple. I mean, I know you guys out there are like, oh, what are you talking about, DK? You can totally just say that, but it's harder to implement than you think. Not really. I mean, Blake Griffin was in the dunk contest at one point in his career. Kobe Bryant participated in the dunk contest. J.R. Ryder, Michael Jordan did it multiple times. You know, Julius Erving, Dominique Wilkins. You know, Karl Malone participated in dunk contest at one point before Sean Kemp did. Charles Barkley has. You know, anyone that, you know, a lot of Hall of Famers have participated in the slam dunk contest. Right now, the slam dunk contest, no one wants to participate, in my opinion. My honest, humble opinion is because it's so gimmicky and it's so just, you know, I'll say it. It's so kind of douchey in a way that, like, no one wants to really participate because they don't want to be associated with the slam dunk contest. Because we are a long, 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 long way away from the artistic mastery that even Vince Carter and Jason Richardson had in the slam dunk contest. What we're doing right now is we're kind of taking those Venice Beach street ball dunk contests that you see on ESPN, ESPN2 sometimes, and basically just blowing them up and inflating them on the NBA scene. And it's becoming what it is. It's kind of becoming a joke. And the more of a joke it becomes, the less involved people like, you know, LeBron or, like, say, Anthony Davis or even a Paul George or someone would want to participate in, because why would you want to be a superstar in the NBA or an up-and-coming superstar and have your name attached to an event that's kind of comical in the eyes of the masses and the public? Now, having said that, I mean, it would be nice if some veterans or some, you know, really more recognizable marquee names did show up to the dunk contest and three-point shootout. I say kudos to, I think it's Damian Lillard for participating in 3 or 4 events, and I also kudos to the 3 dunk contest participants that are actually NBA All-Stars. I mean, good for you guys. Way to go back, harken to the old school way of doing things and just basically participating in the whole weekend and not just the game. But that pretty much is my take on the NBA All-Star Weekend showcase and Friday, Saturday, Sunday, all things like that. I mean, you know, it is what it is, and I mean, the NBA is not going to change it. It's too much of a moneymaker for them to really change anything that they're doing with the game itself. But I mean, as a fan of the NBA, I would like to think that they're not satisfied with the product that they are putting onto the court right now. And, I mean, and if they really look themselves in the mirror, they would agree that it really isn't that entertaining aside from the high-scoring nature of the game, in which it's not that entertaining, it's just we like to see the alley-oops and dunks made by all-stars and the running gun style that we miss from the 80s and early 90s. But, yeah, I mean, that's all I really got to say about the NBA. We're going to take one more quick break. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk a little college basketball. I'm going to go through, there's like a month left in the season plus conference tournaments. So I personally am going to go through the top 25 and see where I kind of see some of these teams going. And then we'll talk a little bit about the top 5, top 10, see who I can see making run at number 1 and 2 seeds, who I can see maybe getting squeezed out, and who is not helping themselves with their late season collapsing as they have been lately. But anyway, like I said, that's on the other side of the break. So, once again, I am David D.K. Kim. They call me the Heckler down here in the basement. For my partner in crime and missing in action buddy partner of mine, Sean Steimel, I am once again David D.K. Kim in the basement. We will see you soon on the other side of the break. Once again, enjoy the stylings of DJ Enoch and the humor of Mick Mucus. See you soon, guys.
Hey, welcome back to the basement. And that was our second break of the podcast. Hopefully, you enjoyed the stylings, for as brief as it is. You've been enjoying the stylings of DJ Enoch. Once again, he operates out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And he is the real deal, pretty famous out there in Nevada. Once again, big ups to DJ Enoch. Thank you once again for the bumpers and the intro and the outros. And once again, thank you to the one and only Mick Mucus for adding the spoken word to our bumpers. Anyway, I am David DK Kim, and you are in the basement with Sean and the Heckler. I am doing a solo show today. My partner in crime, Sean Steimel, being absent. He will be back next week to give us his insights and his quips about, say, the Giants, the New York Football Giants, and his beloved Yankees. But this week it is just I, the Heckler, David DK Kim, the lover of the Niners and the Dodgers. Go Blue. Baseball season's almost upon us. But I digress once again. And once again, if you've been listening to me, I've been saying Sean usually kind of reins me back in when I start kind of hitting that periphery of the topic. But today I've actually done a good job of kind of keeping myself on track. I have, once again, for YouTube land out there, I have notes. And if you are following us on YouTube, you have been witnessing me fidgeting with what looks like the computer in front of me, and it is. I am, mixing in, I guess you can say, mixed voice and DJ Enoch's tunes so that it can, sound correct and everything. So if you're watching me on YouTube and I have this face that looks like this, it's because the computer is beating me at that moment. But I'm assuming that you've seen many, many a times me go like this. Which means, yeah, I'm definitely not winning. And if you're just listening to us on SoundCloud, you are totally mad at me because you can't see what my face is doing. So I apologize for that. And if that is the case, find us on YouTube. There you go. You have no excuses now.
You can search me and look at me doing funny faces while I talk sports. Anyway, on to our last topic of the night here in the basement. We're going to talk a little college basketball. The polls came out today. Let's see what they say in the top 25 action here. In the AP top 25, or as I like to say, the trustworthy top 25, Syracuse is still ranked number 1, but because of their Houdini-style escape against Pittsburgh, they did lose 1 vote. So they only got 64 first place votes. Florida, who's ranked number 2, got the other first place vote. They come in at number 2. Wichita State, the shocker, they just keep winning, and I think their ceiling was number 2 because they weren't going to pass Syracuse unless Syracuse... Oh, excuse me. Man, excuse me. I'm sorry about that. That was totally rude of me. Did not even see that one coming. I apologize for all my fans out there. That was very unprofessional. But you know what? We keep it real here, so I'm not going to edit that one out. I'm just going to make sure that doesn't happen next time. But as I was saying, Wichita State, they just keep winning, but I think they peaked at number 2. They're not going to pass Syracuse unless Syracuse loses first, and they remain undefeated. But the way it looks right now, Florida might be, past them anyway in the rankings. So Wichita State staying at 3. We got Arizona coming in at number 4. They had a pretty hard week last week. They lost to Arizona State. That could hurt the number 1 seeding chances. I don't know yet. Number 5 seed coming back to the top 5 is the Duke Blue Devils. They're sitting at 20-5. They have the most losses of anyone in the top 7. Number 6 is San Diego State. The Aztecs come in at 22-2. Cincinnati is ranked number 7. They're 23-3. Number 8 is Kansas. They have the most losses in the top 10 with 6. They're 19-6. Villanova is coming in at number 9 at 22-3. Rounding out the top 10, the St. Louis Billikens sitting at 23-2. And the 5 teams on the outside of the top 10 looking in are 11 Louisville, or tied for 11 is Louisville and Creighton. They're both 21-4. Michigan State at 13, Virginia at 14. They both come in at 21-5. And Iowa rounds out the top 15 at 19-6. And that pretty much does it for people that have contention. The other 10, 16-25, I feel like won't make that much noise in the tournament, but so we'll just let you know who it is there. Wisconsin 16, Iowa State at 17, Kentucky at 18. Well, they might make some noise. Who knows, depending on which Kentucky shows up. Texas is at number 19. Michigan falls to 20. UConn up to 21. Memphis to 22. UCLA staying at the 20-23. Ohio State back in the top 25 at 24. And Gonzaga just hanging around at 25. And others receiving votes, 26, 7, and 8 are North Carolina, Arizona State, and Southern Methodist. All right, well, that rounds out the top pretty much 30. So let's see here. We're in week 16 of the college basketball season, I guess. Season, if you want to call it that, I guess. There are, let me just check North Carolina's schedule here, how many games left for everybody here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like 7 games left. So basically there's 2 months left to go in the regular season of college basketball. Conference tournaments start probably March 9th or 10th. They run through that weekend, and then March Madness is set to start a week later. Now, we see, once again, in the top 25, the people that are pretty much relevant in the top seed discussion is probably, for sure, Syracuse, Florida, Wichita State. I would say those 3 are the solid, right now, as it stands right now, as of February 17th, Syracuse, Florida, Wichita State are solid number 1s. That leaves one other spot at number 1, and the teams that are fighting for that number 1 spot are Arizona, Duke. San Diego State is fighting for number 1 seed. So is Cincinnati, and so is Kansas. Now, out of those 4 teams I just mentioned, I really think in the end it's going to be Arizona finishing out with the other number 1, and then Duke, San Diego State, Kansas, and maybe Louisville get the number 2 seeds. And then San Diego State, Cincinnati, Villanova, and Creighton or St. Louis get the 3 seed. And then out of the two between St. Louis and Creighton that doesn't get the 3 seed, someone's going to get screwed over and get the 4 seed and probably be in with Syracuse. And that's not that good. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. What I'm really talking about right now is the fact that I don't think Wichita State has a solid case for a number 1 seed. Because Wichita State has 1, 2, 3, they have 4 games left and then their conference tournament. So they're going to end the season at 31-0, inevitably. You assume that. You assume they're going to beat Loyola of Illinois. You assume they're going to beat the Drake Bulldogs. You assume they're going to beat Bradley, and you assume they're going to beat Missouri State. But who knows? I mean, you never know. Southern Illinois played them close. Northern Illinois played them close. Indiana State really played them close. Loyola played them close earlier in the year, and so on and so forth. And Missouri State took them to overtime on January 11th. So anything is possible, but for my money's worth, I say the Shockers. They finish season 31-0, and then they win their 4 or 5 games in the tournament, and then they end their conference tournament, and then they end the regular season at 36-0. Now, I agree with Sean. If you end your season at 36-0, you have to get a number 1 seed, like St. Joe's, basically. But my question to you guys, once again, out there in podcast land, the fans of In the Basement with Sean the Heckler. This is audience participation week this time because I'm running solo right now. But let's say Wichita State goes undefeated in the regular season, makes it to the Missouri Valley Conference finals of the tournament, and they end up losing to, let's say, Indiana State, the next best team in the Missouri Valley. And they lose in, double overtime, and they lose by a buzzer beater, and, buzzer beater, double overtime in the conference finals, and they enter the tournament as a at-large bid at 35-1, or something like that. Do they deserve a number 1 seed? I'm gonna pause it. I'm gonna give it a respectful silence after that question before I answer it. If they finish 35-1 and they went undefeated in the regular season, and then they lose in the championship game in an overtime, double overtime, or really close buzzer beater type of thing to the second best team in the conference, do they deserve a number 1 seed? Yes, they do. Now, that might be only my opinion. And I think with Gonzaga being a fake number 1 seed, it might not happen if it happens that way. If it happens that way, they might be the top number 2 seed. And, they're the, unspoken number 1 in that region, but they get grouped with the lowest number 1 seed. And, it's just understood that they were good enough, but they had to go undefeated. But they still deserve to get number 1 seed. That's my opinion. But I think what's going to happen is that, if that happens that way. Now, what if they lose to Missouri State in overtime on the last game of the season, but they romp through their conference tournament and they finish 35-1 that way? Now, if that happens, ironically enough, I don't think they deserve a number 1 seed. That pause was for dramatic effect so that you guys can freak out for a second while I say that. And then now that you're okay, here's why I don't think in that scenario they deserve a number 1 seed. In that scenario, they lost in the regular season at home to not the second best team in their conference. So in essence, they took them for granted. They took them too lightly. They're looking ahead to the conference tournament. And you know what? Number 1 seeds don't do that. Especially in a small conference. Especially when we're looking for style points. Because losing in the regular season is not the same as going to the conference finals and losing to the second best team in the conference in double overtime or a buzzer beater. It's being lazy and mentally not tough. And that warrants you the top number 2 seed as a legitimate number 2 seed. I know you got, wait, what's the difference? 1 loss is 1 loss, but it's a huge difference. I mean, if you really think about it, it's a huge difference if they lose 1 game. It happens to be in the regular season, or happens to be in the championship game of their conference tournament. Excuse me. Sorry. I almost made the mistake of kind of burping into the mic again, but like I said, it won't happen again, and I had to go away and fix that situation. Now, I'm going to click on Joe Lunardi's little link here on the Shockers site. and he has his top 4 seeds already for the NCAA tournament. And he says it's Syracuse, Arizona, Florida, and Wichita State. And you know what? If you look at the standings and you look at the body of work, that pretty much is right on. And it's Joe Lunardi. He's a freaking bracketologist. He's like a genius when it comes to the brackets. Like, I envy how smart he is when it comes to the NCAA tournament. Like, there are very few people that I envy in life, in sports, about the knowledge that they have in sports compared to me. And, you know, most times it's just like, whoa, like, well, you've been in the sport for so long, how can you not know that much? But Joe Lunardi is just scary smart when it comes to the brackets, NCAA, and the seedings. I want to say in the last 4 or 5 years, he's running about 98.5% correct on all the seedings. So forget like the 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5s, which is like not easy, but like I feel like any, you know, Joe Schmo off the street that has, you know, some knowledge of college basketball, they can do that. But he's also getting the 6, 7, 8, you know, the 15 seeds, the 14 seeds, the last at-large bid coming out of the, you know, the AAU, or I don't know, whatever the former Big East is called these days. You know what? I think I just called them AAU. That is, I'm so sorry to the former Big East, to the American standings. Oh my God, it is like the AAU. What is this thing here? Let's see, American standings. The oh my God, it's the AAC. Oh, okay. The Big East. When I made fun of you and called you the AAU, I was so kidding, but you're the AAC. And you know what you deserve to be made fun of? Because I feel like you made a conference that sounds like the ACC, so that your name recognition would work on recruits. That's just what I think, but maybe it's just coincidence that way. Anyway, like I said, you know, he's predicting the last team coming out of the AAU or AAC and, you know, becoming the 12th seed. You know, like the average guy that watches college basketball can't do that. Heck, you know, I can try to do that, and I'm like wrong 99% of the time. You know, I'm wrong as much as he is right. So, you know, hats off to Joe Lunardi for giving us the potential number 4 number 1 seeds already. But the big games coming up, really, for college basketball is the postponed North Carolina Duke game and the Syracuse Duke game. Also, what's important for Arizona is, as we go back to the rankings here, what's going to be important for Syracuse is to basically win the ACC tournament. Like, you can lose one game in the regular season and win the ACC tournament and still be the number 1 seed. And if you're a Shocker fan, you're going to be like, oh, no, DK, you're so mean. What do you mean Syracuse can do that? You just finished telling us that we can't do that. Well, duh. They're Syracuse. They're in the ACC. They have a power schedule. You know, they have Duke on their schedule twice, North Carolina on their schedule twice. You know, they've played, you know, let's see their schedule here. They've played out of schedule teams like Baylor and Villanova, ranked 8 at a time. Baylor ranked 18 at a time. Pittsburgh is ranked 22, and they beat them twice. You know, they play 14th ranked Virginia. You know, they go on the road and they played Cal, Minnesota. You know, they have a hard schedule. They basically, in the non-conference, is hard. Their non-conference schedule is almost harder than Wichita State's conference schedule. So if you're a Shocker fan, calm down, relax, take it easy, okay? Because your argument is not valid. You guys are nowhere close Syracuse. Okay, so anyway, Syracuse could totally lose one game in the regular season, say at Duke on February 22nd or at Virginia on March 1st. And then if they ran the table and won the ACC tournament with only one loss overall, they would be the overall number 1 seed. I mean, no doubt about it. Even if Wichita State ended the regular season as the number 1 seed in the polls, Syracuse would get the nod by the committee as the number 1 overall seed. Same thing for Florida, although I think Florida has to win out. Arizona, I think, has to win out as well, although Arizona kind of is suffering from the same thing that Wichita State is kind of suffering from, in that the Pac-12 isn't as good as it usually is, or at least as it has been. Oh my God. The Pac-12 hasn't been as good this year as it has been the last 5 to 10 years. So Arizona is suffering from that a little bit. But having said that, they did beat Duke when they were number 6 at the time on a neutral court. They did beat Michigan. They were unranked at the time, but they did beat them. They beat Texas Tech. They beat UNLV, New Mexico State. They've beaten, let's see, I guess that's it for the out-of-state conference. And, and it doesn't help that they played, Cal Poly, Long Beach State. They beat San Diego State, before they were ranked, basically. That's a good quality win, but their problem is going to be strength of schedule and their competition. It's not their fault that Stanford is 7-5 in conference and 16-8 overall. That's not their fault that UCLA is the only ranked team other than them in the conference, and they're barely at 20 wins, and they're 9-3 in the conference, and they could overtake them. Who knows? But their real problem is losing to Arizona State and losing to Cal. Like, by losing to the Pac-12, you're saying one of two things. Either the Pac-12 is better than we give it credit for, or you aren't as good as everyone says you are. Now, I don't know what the real answer to that is. Neither does Arizona, though, because they're looking at the committee going, I wonder if they're going to give us the benefit of the doubt by the rivalry game at ASU and double overtime. It was in Tempe, so it was on the road, a rivalry game, double overtime, and their best player was injured previously at Cal, I think it was. And the committee's like, okay, well, we might give you that, but you played Oregon really close. And you lost to Cal at Cal. They're not that good this year. So and so. And so it's all going to come down to, they have to win out. They have to beat Utah at Utah. They have to beat Colorado at Colorado. They have to come back at home and face Cal and beat him by at least 10 to prove to the committee that, it was a fluke. It was basically, we were at Cal. It was a lightning in the bottle. It will never happen again. And they have to thump Cal on February 26th. And then they have to beat Stanford again, but more than 3 points this time. Once again, we were at Maples. It's home court advantage. We blow them out by 15. Then they have to beat Oregon State. And then most importantly, they have to blow out the Ducks of Oregon. I mean, they have to crush the Ducks by at least 15 points. Because it's unacceptable to win only by 3 or 2 at home against Ducks. You know what? I love you, Duck fans, but you are 4-8 in conference, and you guys aren't good. You guys aren't good. It's not the Aaron Brooks-led, Ducks. You guys had the heyday, but at the same time, like I said, Arizona has to win out, and they have to at least make it to the conference finals. In fact, I think they have to win. If they don't win, then I don't think they have a claim as number, or they have a weaker claim at number 1. I already said about Wichita State. Florida went out. Now, the interesting thing is Duke. Now, Duke, once again, like I said, they are sitting at 20-5. They have the most losses out of the top 8. But they lost number 5, Kansas, at the time on a neutral court. They lost number 4 at the time, Arizona, on a neutral court. They lost to Notre Dame at home in the crazy game against Notre Dame. And they lost to Clemson on the road. They got blown out. That's a bad loss. And then they lost in overtime, number 2, Syracuse, in the Carrier Dome with a chance to win. And so, it's kind of iffy on that part. And it's unfortunate that they had the game at North Carolina postponed, because they could have shown the committee how good they were by beating North Carolina on the road. Now what they have to do is basically win out, including beating Syracuse at home on February 22nd. Now here's the thing. It's a tough break for the Blue Devils, because had they played North Carolina on February 12th, they would not have to play North Carolina on February 20th, 2 days before playing Syracuse on the 22nd. Now, excuse me. Now, I know what people are saying out there that are Duke fans. Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe that playing on the 18th at Georgia Tech, and then playing on the 20th at North Carolina, and then the 22nd at home against Syracuse, and the 25th against Virginia Tech is going to simulate the tournament atmosphere so much that they'll, have the legs under them. They'll win those 4 in a row, and then they'll make a case as a potential number 1 seed. Now, maybe. I don't like it, though. Because here's the thing. They beat Maryland by 2. It's not a very good Maryland team that they beat only by 2. Now they're going into Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is 13-12 with 4-8 in conference. Now they would make their season better than beating Duke. And then right after that, they go into the first of 2 rivalry games with North Carolina on the 20th at North Carolina. So they have to get emotionally up for that. And then 2 days later, they come home to face the number 1 team in the country, Syracuse, after an emotional Tobacco Road showdown with North Carolina. Whether they win or lose, they're going to have to re-amp themselves up one more time, if not more than 2 days before, to get in the right mindset to play Syracuse after having just barely lost to them less than a month ago. And then 3 days later, win or lose, you go and play Virginia Tech, who has always historically played Duke hard, whether it's, in Blacksburg or not. So those 4 games, potentially you could go 4-0, but potentially, scarily, you could go 2-2 or even 1-3 in that game, in that stretch. And then you're in trouble because then you end at Wake Forest, and Wake Forest, they're actually having a pretty surprising year because they're 14-11. No one expected that, but they're 4-8 in conference. Once again, no one like Georgia Tech. They would love to beat Duke and ruin their chances of getting a number 1 seed or even a 2 seed. And then they end the year against North Carolina at home, senior night. So what you're telling me is that in the next, 2 weeks. In the next 2 weeks, you're going to play North Carolina twice, number 1 team in the country, Georgia Tech on Georgia Tech's home floor, and then Virginia Tech really close to the end of the year, the last game against Duke of the year, and then Wake Forest pretty much on their senior night. Are you kidding me? That is a gauntlet of a schedule right there waiting to happen for Duke. And I really hope that they are mentally up for it. Because Duke has made quite of a run as of late, after falling out of the top 10 for the first time in I don't know how many years. They're back in the top 5 and see what they're about to do here. Now, having said that, I don't think Duke necessarily makes it to the top line. I think the top line ends up being who the top 4 seeds are when it's all said and done. Syracuse, Florida, Wichita State, Arizona. And I think the order in which number 1 seeds are going to go is Syracuse is going to be the top number 1. And then, unfortunately for Wichita State fans, I think Florida is going to be the number 2 line of number 1 seeds. And then Wichita State is going to have to fight off Arizona for the number 3 slot on the number 1 line. Because if Arizona wins out and wins the Pac-12 tournament, Wichita State could be looking at the 4th number 1 seed, which is going to put you against the top number 2 seed, which could be advantageous to them because it could either be Duke, San Diego State, or Cincinnati, all of which are beatable in that bracket if Wichita State happens to be the number 1 seed. The scarier of the 3 probably is Duke because they have a championship pedigree. If I was Wichita State, I'd probably want to see a San Diego State or like a Cincinnati or even like a Villanova on that 2 line in my bracket. But, so let's see. I have my list here. We talked about the top 25. We talked about Syracuse, Wichita State, Arizona, Florida, Duke. Kansas and Michigan State. Those guys, I want to say, have a lot of work ahead of them, just like Villanova does as well. I think they should be looking at the number 2 line or the number 3 seed line because the number 1 seed line is pretty much out of their reach, even if they make a run of the ages through the regular season and their conference tournament. Because they just don't have the teams to beat in the tournament because with Florida's in the SEC, Syracuse and Duke are in the ACC, and Arizona is in the Pac-12. So, those schools have nothing to really worry about. The only school that I would say that needs to make a run right now to get a top 3 or 4 seed in a bracket would be Creighton. Because Creighton is one of those teams that's kind of scary good or mediocrely bad. They could be this year's Gonzaga. They could go into the tournament with lots of potential, lots of expectations, a lot of people betting them to make a couple of upsets or make a run into the Elite 8 or Sweet 16 and then fall on their face. But who knows? McDermott, he has proven to be a legitimate top-flight scorer. He is a legitimate NBA prospect, and he's a star. He's a star in college, and Doug McDermott is... he's ready to show the world that it's not just competition that is allowing his statistics to be the way they are. He wants to prove to the nation that he can carry that team and, he can be another Butler Bulldogs or VCU or a Florida, Florida Gulf Coast. He wants to make that run. He wants to be the next team. Him and the Creighton Blue Jays want to be that next team to make the run that's been happening the last 4 or 5 years in the tournament. Anyway, that's pretty much it about the top 25. Number 1 seeds, we already talked about that. Mid-majors versus the big boys in the power conferences. You know what? That's too long of a discussion. I think we're going to wait till next week because then we'll have Sean in the discussion with me. And you know how that would go. That's going to be more of a debate right there. But I'm going to end on this note before I sign off. If you are a fan of college football or college basketball, I wanted to let you know that UC Davis is going to be actually back on ESPN as they take on UC Santa Barbara. And if you're wondering why you should even watch that game, well, here's why. First of all, and I mean, this is probably the most important part, UC Santa Barbara's coach Bob Williams is a former coach of the UC Davis Aggies back in the late 90s, and he is the last coach to have coached UC Davis Aggies men's basketball team to any sort of championship, as he won the Division II championship back in 1998. He led them to the what was called the Elite Eight in Division II. We were the only school to have no scholarships, and they went up against Kentucky Wesleyan. And Kentucky Wesleyan, if anyone knows about Division II, they are pretty much the UCLA and Kentucky Wildcats of Division II. They have won at least one title in every decade since the, I want to say the 50s. And they were looking to win their one title of the 90s in 98. But the UC Davis Aggies, with their non-scholarship athletes, they ended up beating Kentucky Wesleyan and taking the D2 title home for the West Coast. And at the time, we were in the, oh man, I forgot what conference we were in. The NCAC, I think, was the conference we were in at the time in Division II. Either way, we brought home the Division II title to California, and Bob Williams left for Santa Barbara a year later to pursue bigger pastures in D1 land. And lo and behold, years later, UC Davis is in D1, and they are in the Big West, and lo and behold, they are in the conference with their former coach, Bob Williams. So that is why you should watch that game on ESPN or ESPN2 or News, whichever it may be, whenever it comes on March 1st. And that being said, I'm going to sign off. I am David D.K. Kim. Thank you for once again joining me in the basement. Normally, like I said, I am here with my partner in crime, Sean Steimel. But today I'm running a little solo. Hopefully I did okay for you guys, and it was a good show. Once again, I have a lot of questions out there, just out in the blue. So if you guys have any answers or any other comments to add to those comments, just put them into the comment section of either the YouTube page or the SoundCloud page. And I guess the next time you will hear my voice, actually, will be tomorrow. Tomorrow I will be on the call with Joey Kistler for the UC Davis women's softball game against the Stanford Cardinal. I believe first pitch is at 1 p.m. and you can hear our voice and our call at 90.3 FM KDVS and online at ucdavisaggies.com. So that should be fun. So, for Joey tomorrow, my partner in crime as always, Sean Steimel, who will be with me again next week. And for the listeners out there, thank you very much. Once again, I am David D.K. Kim, and the intro, outro, and bumper music today was provided to you by DJ Enoch, legit. He works out of Las Vegas, Nevada. And like I said, if you want to check out more of his music, check out his SoundCloud page at DJ Enoch, DJ-ENOC. And the words that you hear during the bumper and the intro and outro are brought to you by Mick Mucus. He is of KDVS Chicken Ears fame and Woodstock's working fame, as well as he's been a Davisite for a long time, so you probably do know who Mick Mucus is. You just don't know his name. Anyway, I am David D.K. Kim. They call me the Heckler. I'm going to leave the basement, and I will see you next week here. Same Heckler time, same Sean channel. Ha 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 ha. See you next week, everybody.